Come on. Oh, there it is. BJ Matthews.
No, can you hear me?
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. My name is BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle.
Hey, and it's your co-host that does it the most. It's your boy Rick Masters. Yo, I'm washing my clothes right now, but BJ got a shirt on. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we got the Pull Up Basketball Podcast shirts. We got the white sweaters, the black ones, the red, the white tanks, the hoodies. Hit up me or B Jizzle in our DMs. You see the Cash App down there, the $ BJ Matthews. If you want to donate anything to keep this great show going. Hey, for all the Dallas Cowboy LeBron James fans, I got y'all this Sunday. You know what I'm saying? I had to wear something since I'm washing my clothes. But at Rick Masters 23 or Mr. Lee on Instagram, Rick Masters everywhere. It's B Jizzle. Let's go.
Yes, sir. My guy said it all for me, man. He said, go in and get your pull-up basketball shirts. You know what I'm saying? $30 a pop for the regular shirts, white, black, and red, all sizes, men and women. That includes shipping and handling. $35 for the white and black and red sweaters. You know what I'm saying? All sizes, all colors. And basically for men and women as well. And the Cash App, you guys want to decide to donate your love to the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast, $ BJ Matthews as well. We are, like I said, we are now YouTube partnered. We are also getting things from, memberships and super chats and super stickers as well. So we're going to have some of that stuff displayed here shortly. But we definitely appreciate y'all. We cannot get to where we're at without you guys. So we always appreciate the love and support. So continue to stay plugged in, continue to share the knowledge. But Rick, we got a great show for us today, man. The Terminator band is back. Kawhi Leonard is back on the court. He is set to return on Monday against the Portland Trail Blazers. You know what I mean? So with that being said, bro, there's so many angles we can look at this. How is he going to look coming back? How long is it going to take for him to get back to what we know and love him as? What do we expect how many games he's going to play? What's your prediction of Kawhi Leonard this season, starting out the gate? And how long do you think it's going to take for him to get back to what he was? Let me hear it.
Man, the thing about Kawhi Leonard, man, and first of all, I'm excited. I've been waiting for this moment. I don't know how long, man, but look, I always got to go off of researching what we know about him. So, when he was in San Antonio, he was hurt, Of course, he left there, went over to Toronto. So I got to use what I know. The brother obviously takes care of himself. He takes his body very seriously, right? So when he's out, he's out. We know that he's resting. We know that he's recouping because when he came back and he finally salute, play for keep salute. When he came back to win a championship for Toronto. So I'm expecting the brother to come back, go hard, play defense, do what he does, man. But far as for him to get back to where he was at, I'm gonna give him about 10, 15 games to kind of get in a rhythm, kind of get back to himself. Once a basketball player, always a basketball player. It's kind of like riding a bike, man. Once you get that going, like I said, the brother been taking care of himself. So I'm really excited, man. I don't think that he'll too much skip a beat, but I think just giving him probably 10 to 15 games where he can get his rhythm back, we'll see Kawhi, the old Kawhi, back out there, man.
Right. Um, so he's been out for 15 months with that long injury. The ACL, tore his ACL back last July, I believe, in the playoffs against the Utah Jazz, and he was, in my opinion, playing the best basketball of anybody in the playoffs. That includes Kevin Durant, that includes Luka Doncic, that includes Giannis Antetokounmpo, that includes everybody. This man was playing the best basketball, in my opinion, out of anybody in the league. Okay, he was playing on both ends. If you guys remember in the first round against the Mavericks, they beat the Mavericks. They came back from an 0-2 deficit, and people were riding them off. And it was Kawhi Leonard, for the most part, carrying that team back to, winning that series. In Game 6, he had probably the best game in that single game handily in Dallas, where he had, I think, 45 points and hit daggers down the stretch. You would have to really watch that game to really understand how important and how great he was in that single-handed game. He goes against the Utah Jazz, the number one seed in the Western Conference in the entire league, and he has two monstrous games in games 3 and 4, especially this dunk right here he had over Derek Favors. That's where I think the series changed. I think that's when Utah knew they were done. They were cooked. So if he did not gotten hurt, then no doubt in my mind they would have went into the finals, and I think they would have won the whole thing. So this man is obviously important to this franchise, to this league. The game's better with him on the court, and I think, just basically his demeanor, bro, and just basically how he carries himself, like you said, takes care of himself, all that stuff, is why I'm such a big supporter of him. He has the Jordan Kobe mentality, and there's not a lot of those left. You got Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi, Steph Curry. Those guys have that mentality of just like no excuses. There may be a few people I'm missing, but I mean, just off the top of my head, those are the main guys. Dame Lillard's another one. I mean, of course, LeBron's LeBron. He's just who he is, and then we respect the other guys, Kevin Durant, Kyrie. Respect all those other guys. But as far as the Mamba old school mentality, there's only a couple, 2 or 3 guys I can see right now who have that, and Kawhi is definitely one of them. So you said 10 to 15 games, bro. How many games do you think Kawhi is going to end up playing, or do you have like an estimate? How he's going to come out the gate? Is he going to come out aggressive? Is he going to come out slow? Is he going to come out? How do you think he's going to come out the game based off knowing Kawhi?
I think he's going to come out like Kawhi. And what I mean Kawhi is he's going to come out aggressive. He's going to come out playing hard. You just said it. He's one of the few players left in the league who actually comes at the game, comes at it seriously, comes at it ferocious. I mean, you could tell, despite his facial demeanor and expressions, you could tell that he has love for the game. You could tell that he's a baller by heart. And, for the people who might have forgotten, this man's a 5-time All-Star, 2014-15 Steel champ, 2-time NBA champ, 5-time All-NBA, 2011-12 All-Rookie, 7-time All-Defensive, 2-time Finals MVP, 2 times Defensive Player of the Year. People don't understand how hard it is to get that award, man. 2019-20 All-Star MVP, and, of course, one of the top 75 players. And me and BJ talk about this all the time, man. For him to have been in the league for 10 years, going on 11 far as playing time, he's a certified vet. it's me and BJ always say he's such a weird player when it comes to his career, because as much as he's been hurt, as long as he's been in, he's accomplished so much in such little time. And then it's like he leaves, then he comes back again ferocious. So he's one of those oddities, man. He's one of those oddities where it's like you don't know when he's going to get hurt, because when he gets hurt, he's going to take as much time as he needs to get better. But the reason why I don't hit him too hard is because when he comes back ready and ready to go. He's playing. So, like I said, I think he's going to come back like Kawhi. Like, he showed us when he left San Antonio. He showed us before he got hurt at San Antonio. He showed us in Toronto. He showed us he was playing, like you said, when he was with the Clips before he got hurt. He's always playing at such a high level, and I don't expect nothing less from the brother. So really, again, just like me and other fans like yourself, we excited. We know he gonna put push the pedal to the metal. He gonna come after it, man. You just really got to pray in his case that he doesn't get hurt. That's really the only thing you got to pray for. But of course, that's stuff you can't see, you can't foresee.
Okay, well, I would like to play a clip, from his head coach Ty Lue, where he actually highlights what he looks at Kawhi Leonard right now. Obviously, Kawhi, like I said, has been out for 15 months, and he's had a lot of time to really get his body right. And with that being said, most of the times when you're not playing basketball, 9 times out of 10, you're lifting weights, and you're getting your body into peak condition. So Ty Lue, who is the head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers, spoke on Kawhi Leonard, his massive growth, his massive size, how he got bigger this summer. And he said he expects big things from Kawhi Leonard this year. So let's hear what Coach Ty Lue had to say about that.
Have you noticed him kind of bulk up this past year? What do you think that kind of does for him?
I think, the 3 years I've been here, he's coming to camp, pretty big, and then he kind of loses 12 to 15 pounds during the season. So I think with all the rehab and all the lifting, and he's going to bulk up. He's in shape, not a lot of body fat, you know what I'm saying? But he was big as hell, actually.
So that was head coach Ty Lue basically talking about Kawhi Leonard looking, how his girth is, how his size is. Most of these NBA players, most people got to understand, like, they're bigger up close than TV. So if you're telling me that he looks big on a television screen or on a picture, you have to understand that's not even doing them justice up close. I remember seeing PG up close when I was watching him play, and I thought the dude was only like 6'7". I mean, that's still pretty tall, pretty big. The dude's a legit 6'9". Dude's a legit 6'9" with size, length, and he's strong up close. Like, these guys are massive dudes. You know what I'm saying? These are not regular sized people. You know what I'm saying? So when Ty Lue says he looks big as hell up close, I mean, I can just imagine the size, the girth he's put on. And I wondered, why did Kawhi choose to put that amount of size on? Because some people were looking like, oh, he looks pudgy, he looks out of shape. He looks like, he's too big. It's going to keep him from moving around the court. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because basketball's an agile sport. But then I said to myself, okay, well, like Rick said, this is Kawhi Leonard. He takes care of himself. So he's not going to put his body at any jeopardy. If he has size, he's still going to have a lot of time to, take some of that big girth off and get more cut. But because Kawhi's always been strong. But I think he put on the extra 10, 15 pounds of muscle, because I think they're going to put him more at the 4 this year, the power forward. My vice versa just playing him at the 3. So I think he's going to be playing, more in the big man position. And that's why I think he put on that size. Like, they have a plan for him to be successful and to be able to, be great. So, Rick, let's talk about this. He will be back Monday against the Portland Trail Blazers in a preseason game. Him and John Wall will actually be coming back. Talk about, do you think, first of all, we remember John Wall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Remember what he was when he was, in the league at his peak of his powers. from what I've been watching from media day, from what I've been watching from training camp, from what I've been watching from just regular little practices that I've been seeing, John Wall has that energy that Patrick Beverley had for the Clippers, which is to galvanize people, to bring people together, to be that voice. As great as Kawhi Leonard is, we all know that he's not that dude to be rah-rah type dude. He leads by example. So it's good to have players who have that demeanor like John Wall has. How do you expect John Wall to play this season, and how long will it take for him to kind of get back in rhythm? Do you think he'll be able to mesh with Kawhi?
I mean, John Wall kind of said it himself on that interview. And I forgot the Asian guy's name. I can't think of the name. But Houston, yeah. So John Wall said it himself. I mean, he's like, he's gonna be ready. He's gonna come after it. And the reason why I'm gonna trust his words is because we know John Wall is one of those players where he takes the game very serious as well. And I like one thing that John Wall said in that interview. He said, "Look, I don't have to pretty much be the man of the show, which makes it easier for me. It's almost like if you're a great basketball player and you're used to everybody making you the main attraction and the main, score and things of that nature, when you get on a team where you have guys that are dogs like you and all you have to do is play a role, even though you have the same attributes and personality as a superstar, that just makes it more dangerous and more dynamic on the team when you're two front court people or above 6'6" and they play defense like they do. And let's not forget, John Wall is arguably one of the top 5, maybe in some minds, top, 7 or 10, defensive point guards, like smaller guards. So when you have 3 people on the court at one time in certain situations where you need defense, you need to really raise the defense. The Clippers look scary, man. I mean, you got John Wall who loves playing defense, who can take off on you and run the floor if he has to. Because in my mind, I want to touch on 2 things. Kawhi Leonard, okay, it's obvious, as an athlete, not even just in mind of basketball, but any sport, when you put on muscle, what you're basically saying is you're trying to out-muscle, you're trying to out-strength the guy that's on the court, your opposition. Okay, you already said it. Kawhi Leonard is naturally strong. So for him to put on 10 or 15 more pounds of muscle, what that basically tells me is, well, he's already naturally a small forward. That's his true position. So I'm looking, he's going to be a combo forward. He's going to go between the small forward and a power forward sometimes. He has to be able to hold some big men in some combinations where you may have to switch screens or you may have to help side or help people out sometimes. Because at the same time, let's not forget, Kawhi Leonard is big. You already mentioned that. He's a big guy. So he could cover the floor. So, and then again, his nickname, the Claw, if that ball gets around them hands, he's taking the ball out of them passing lanes. He's taking the ball out your hands if you're not careful. So I think Kawhi Leonard is trying to be more of a Swiss Army knife, if I can say, when it comes to his team. He's trying to be able to do multiple things at once, which makes him more dynamic. Now, will it kind of slow him down on an open court when you take off? Because, John Wall might be a little track star when it comes to things of that nature. Sure, but he won't be too far behind. Like I said, the man's in top peak condition. He's going to be able to play with his team. And John Wall clearly said during the interview, he does not mind playing his role, meaning that he understands coming here, whatever they need him for, that's what he's going to do. Especially when it comes down to those fourth quarter and late third quarter games where you kind of need a big dynamic change as far as defense and probably even scoring the bucket, because while you're focused on Kawhi Leonard and PG, don't forget you got little John Wall out there in the corner somewhere just waiting to take an open jump shot or taking the easy layup to the lane or even an easy layup to the lane and then he dishing it out to the Claw or PG himself for an open shot. Because remember, Kawhi and PG are mid-range killers. Like they brought the art of mid-range back in this era. So, right. I mean, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and John Wall, just thinking about their mid-range game and how they attack the hoop and how big, like you said, Kawhi Leonard has gotten. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do. And the fact that John Wall is on the same program and is ready to be where he has to be or do what the team needs, that just makes them even scarier. But, of course, we have to see what they do. But, like I said, going off of just track record, we know that Kawhi Leonard is a dog. We know he's a Terminator. We know he's going to come back, ferocious like he always does. And then you got, like you said, the spirit and fervor of a John Wall that's ready to play ball and play his position. Bruh, we've seen what PG was doing the last 2 years by himself. This is going to be a fun season if everybody can stay healthy, man.
Okay, man. So you know what I'm gonna do before we let people in, because we got some people I know that want to talk about this, cook on this. Kawhi had media day. They had media day on Monday where all the NBA players, basically of the respective teams in the league, spoke about, their off season, spoke about what they expect for this upcoming season. And Kawhi Leonard had a 10-minute, segment with his media day interview. I'm of course not gonna play the full 10 minutes. Gonna play about a minute of it, kind of highlight what he's been doing and how he feels and things of that nature going into the season. Then we'll let people come in and cook on this subject. So here we go.
I know how to filter out the entertainment from things that I need to either drive me or motivate me to move forward. And as of now, I'm older. I had some time off with the injury, so I was able to listen to more music and develop those projects with my team, with Eastside Bolden. But it's just been fun. It's been fun to connect with artists, see their passion, see what else they're into when they're out of their craftsmanship and not working on music, and see what they like or engage in, help them with their music. And so I think that bridge is always there between professional players or music artists. People like to listen to music before they game, or artists like to play sports. So it's been fun for me.
Hey, Kawhi, over here. How have you felt about how Lawrence Frank and the front office has rebuilt the team around, or kind of fit around you and PG?
I think he's done a great job. We got a lot of talented wings on our team that could play both ways. Dribble, shoot the ball, be able to, guard multiple positions. And I think that's what you need right now in this NBA. Guys that could guard and just switch and be able to knock down open shots. And, we'll see how it unfolds this year, but I'm excited. We got training camp tomorrow.
Okay, that was a minute and 43 seconds. Speaking of Kawhi Leonard and what his, a few of his comments was, on media day. Now, first thing he highlighted, it was very important that he took time away from the game of basketball. He took time away to kind of get his mindset together, because people understand with any profession, any craft that you love and do, you can't do everything 100% of the time. You have to find a balance. And what that balance does, it refreshes your mind to the point when you do come back to work or you do come back to playing your sport that you love, you're refreshed to the point you can do your job even better. See, a lot of times people think that you have to wear yourself out to the point where, no days off. That's one of the things we used to say, no days off. And I actually found out that's actually hustling backwards. It's going to cause you to crash. It's going to cause you not to be at your best, when it's time to perform. So I liked what Kawhi said, that he's taking out time with his music. I think Usain Bolton is the person he's connected to. And, he seems mentally, he seems more at a better place. And then he talked about the team, the Clippers, how they're looking this year. And he said he's happy what they built around him and PG. Now, I watched them play the other night against a team, this Israeli team. Of course, it's an Israeli team. It's not an NBA team. They won by 40 points, but Kawhi, PG, John Wall, Norman Powell, Reggie Jackson, Nicholas Batum, and Ivica Zubac, all 7 of their players did not play. So they still won by 40 without those guys even playing. And they had a couple NBA players on that Israeli team. I think Norris Cole, you remember Norris Cole from the Miami Heat. He was on that team. And I think there was another player. So I'm looking how they played, how they move without the ball. They have shooters. They got playmakers. They got length, bro. They got size in the paint now with this dude named Moses Brown, who's their center. I'm looking at all facets. They're clicking. They're playing defense. They're talking. When John Wall comes in on the scene, bro, people remember he averaging 9 assists per game. And he's always a willing passer. And I think he's a great playmaker. He's 6'4", and he's going to make it so much easier for Kawhi and PG to get in their spots to the point where they're not going to have to worry about deciding what to do because John Wall will have the ball in his hands and he's going to be able to dictate the offense. And the way I look at John Wall, he hasn't been hurt. He just didn't play last year because he felt like he should be the starter of the Houston Rockets at the time. But when he was playing, I think he played 41 games with the Rockets the year before. He averaged, I think, 20 points and 7 assists. So those are very good numbers that he was averaging. So he's going to bring that to the Clippers, and it's going to elevate his game with John Wall, with Kawhi and PG. And he just seems like he's in a better place, man. He just seems like after, reading some of the stuff that he's went through, having to deal with his death of his grandmother, his mother, his Achilles tear, all that stuff, bro. He just seems like he's in a much better place. So I'm happy for him, excluding basketball. But I think with the Clippers, they got something great going on, and I think that once the season starts and when they have preseason tomorrow, it's gonna be fireworks, man. I really do. But anything else you want to say, bro, before we let the people in?
Man, the only thing I got to say is that, look, man, I saw a comment by Dallas Sports, Kawhi shouldn't play the 4. Now, I don't necessarily think his true position is power forward. That's not what I'm, alluding to. What I'm alluding to is that during basketball game situations, sometimes you may need to do a help side. You may need to follow a screen. You may need to help on one side of the court where the center or the power forward is an oppositional team. And I feel like he is a nice combo piece when it comes to things of that nature because, I use LeBron James for this point here. People have said for a long time he can guard all 5 positions. LeBron James is not 7 feet tall. He's 6'8", 6'9", whichever one you want to go with. But he's combo. He's diverse. He can adapt. And I feel like Kawhi has the same ability. He can adapt. He can move around. He can help his teammates, depending on situations you might find yourself in. Let's say that John Wall gets beat at the top of the key. Well, Kawhi Leonard is long enough and fast enough and strong enough to cut down to kind of help John Wall to get back on his man, and then he could jump back to his man. So when I mean that, I see them using him between that 3 and 4 as a combo, I mean that there's going to be a lot of transitioning, a lot of moving, a lot of helping out because of his size and his strength. And I felt like he did that on purpose because at the end of the day, when you're 10, 15 pounds stronger, it's harder to move a person that's 10 to 15 pounds stronger than what they were last year or years ago, so he's definitely coming at this game. And let's not forget, Kawhi Leonard is not like a super agile player. Like he's not one of those people that just take off. He's a very time-paced player. He's very controlled. He's planning the whole time. You can tell by the way he plays. Right. So I feel like for him to get that big, and this is just me going off assumption here and playing the game myself, anytime I'm gaining muscle is because I know I'm going to take some body pounding in a lot of situations. And so usually when I get bigger, it's because I know my opposition is usually 9 times out of 10 going to be bigger. So I need to get stronger in order for it to be a smoother game for me during the game process. But if I'm 10, 15 pounds or 20 pounds lower than the guy I'm about to play against, that's going to cause a lot of pressure on my body. And let's not forget, he's known to get injured. So strength in the body is very helpful because it keeps you bouncing back. It keeps you from getting injured as easy because you're stronger. So I think Kawhi definitely made that move to keep himself in the game a lot longer this season and seasons to come. I definitely don't think it was a mistake or an accident. He probably looked at his track record and said, man, I need to be able to be here at the most crucial, important times. So I need to get my body stronger. And again, he's the one in the NBA playing against these other, big players. So he knows what he needed to do. And obviously gaining 10 to 15 pounds of muscle is something that he concluded on. So I don't, to kind of answer that, I don't think it was one of those things where he was like, I'm just going to get bigger for no reason. No, I think he was looking at, look, we have a very adaptable, agile team, and I need to put myself in a position to where when something is offset or we're off balance, I can be able to set it back in balance. I can be able to set it back in place and get us back on track. Because even though Kawhi is not a super vocal person, he is a leader. And so him moving the way he's moving, he's just putting himself in the position to better balance out the team dynamic. That's what I'm thinking he's doing.
Oh, appreciate that comment, man. But we got Bruce in the building. You know what I'm saying? Bruce is in the building. You know what I mean? He gonna talk about this subject about Kawhi Leonard. Anybody else wanna come in? Go and hit that like button and also hit that link. But what's good, Bruce? What's up with you, man?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Hello. What up, Bruce?
Salute.
Yes, I know someone is excited about Kawhi returning tomorrow. So I'm excited to see him too, and seeing him on the court is gonna confirm that a lot of people who said that he was not gonna play the first game, that was not true. So,
Ticket.
and I'm looking forward to see him play. I think they're gonna be careful with him this season. I'm not a fan of load management, but if that's what it needs to be done for him to win that championship, oh well. So I agree with everything that you guys said. You know, I think he's trying to protect himself to have a longer career. He knows his limitation. I think his limitation is health. So if he has to put out muscles to help him endure the season, so it is what it is.
Right. Okay. So how long? Okay, so Bruce, how long you think it's gonna take for Kawhi to get back to what he was?
Probably after All-Star game, after All-Star break.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at that too. I think maybe a little bit after. Here's my opinion. This is what I think, and I'm gonna let Bubba chime in. I think the season. I think Paul George is gonna be the best player. I think PG is gonna be the best player in the season. The totality of the season, I think PG is gonna be the best player. I think he's the most determined. I think he's the most hungriest. I think that he's looking at this year as, he's taking the less time off. I think he said he took 2 weeks off of playing or not playing, and he got right back to the gym. He went to Italy, did not eat any carbs, didn't eat no pasta for his wedding, and he's like been the most focused. You could just tell in his body, his demeanor. I think Kawhi's going to take a step back for PG to go off, get his confidence, and then because Kawhi can come in anytime and just do what he does, but PG, you have to kind of giving it his confidence, galvanize his confidence. This is what Rick was saying about Kawhi being a leader. He knows what's going on, his awareness. He may not talk much, but he knows people how to make them click. So I think what Kawhi is going to allow to do, he's going to pretty much let PG be him and let him get the shots and let him be the guy that goes off. And then here comes the playoffs. That's when I think Kawhi is going to be the best player. But go ahead. What'd you say, Bruce?
Does PG wants to be the best player because he likes to defer. Maybe he wants Kawhi to get his feet back, so he's gonna give him the ball a lot. So I don't know.
What's good, Bubba?
Salute, B Jizzle. Salute, Slick Rick. BJ, you kind of alluded to what I was gonna say. I feel like heading into the season, Paul George should be the best player, so Kawhi can get his feet together. It should kind of be like a Shaq and Kobe thing, where Kobe dominates in the regular season and they get into the playoffs and Shaq is Shaq, And I kind of have a little bit of concern for Kawhi because, we know he suffered a lower extremity injury, which means he didn't really get time to get into endurance shape. So him putting up 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, I'm kind of questioning his endurance heading into the season. We saw this with Anthony Davis last year, which he came in buffed, but we could all tell that he wasn't really in good shape. So that's the kind of question I have for Kawhi. And on Monday, I don't really expect him to play heavy minutes. I expect him to play 10 to 15 minutes. And it shouldn't be anything heavy because, it's the Trailblazers. His presence enough should be able to scare the Trailblazer player. So that's all I'm going to say for now.
Go ahead, Rick.
No, I like his take on that. I feel like, kind of like what Bubba said, the team, and also what Bruce was alluding to as well. I feel like the team is going to be careful with Kawhi because, like I said, just looking at his track history, when he get hurt, the brother is taking his time coming back. So it does make sense if they don't really play him too heavy. If they kind of watch what he's doing, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, like Bubba said. It would even shock me if it was lesser than that, because we want you for the entire season. But kind of jumping back to what I was saying earlier, I really feel like he's very self-aware, and Bruce kind of touched on it too. If you feel like you need to get 10 to 15 pounds heavier to protect your longevity, because that's really his enemy is his body, and he feels that, hey, I need to work on this or gain this amount of muscle to protect and to counter, act this over here, then, we kind of got to trust him as a player. Now, we never can, determine when you're going to get hurt. That's just a freak of nature. When you get hurt, you get hurt. But him showing us that he wants to bulk up is already telling me that he knows that maybe his deficiency is his body, like Bruce was alluding to. And so he's trying to make it stronger. But I like what Bubba said. As an organization, I probably wouldn't play him as heavy, and like, I'm kind of with Bruce. I really don't like the load management, but at the same time, when it comes to Kawhi's case and everything he's done and what he means to the organization itself, definitely using if you have to, Kawhi. I'd rather you do that than not play another 15 months. So I definitely, agree with both of the fellas there. But, of course, I know Kawhi, like I said, just by watching him play, that man's a baller. He wants to be out there. He wants to be on that court. And so, I think it comes to the respect and the understanding of a Coach Lue, the chemistry that him and Kawhi probably has. It comes to the respect and the chemistry of the teammates between Kawhi and his team. And then, they'll just find a natural little middle ground to where it's like, look, Kawhi, we want you to play, but we want you to play for the longevity. So just sit down right now because we can't do another 15 months. We need to get this championship.
Dog. I agree. Shout out to Dominique Brown. Dom, if you good, man, come in. You can say your 2 cents. He said Terminator need a software update and system reboot. He sure is. Like, he's been out for 15 months, So the way I think he's looking at it, like, I had all this time to lift, to work out, get my body right, get my body in shape. And alluding to what Bubba said, conditioning wise, yes, his conditioning is going to suck coming into the there's no other way around it. The only way you can get into game shape, and Rick, me and you know this, is to play. You got to play in the games to get in game shape. So I'm pretty sure Kawhi knows and understands, like, his condition is going to be trash. It's one thing for you to go through training camp or, go through regular practice. The whole other thing is going to full pace game. So I think he's going to understand, like, okay, it's going to be a process. I'm healthy, I'm healed, but it's going to take some time for me to get back into full game shape. Bruce, by the end of this, okay, so what do you think is keeping the Clippers winning this title? Kind of give me your soliloquy of what you think could keep the Clippers from winning this title.
That's a good question. I think the number one thing is health. So we want, because even when Kawhi was not on the team, I believe that when in the Chris Paul era, I think it was health that kept the Clippers not winning. Maybe some of it the players not clutch enough. So I think it's health with Kawhi and the point guard play. I want to see what John Wall is gonna do. He cannot be Kawhi and PG all the time. So the point guards, Reggie Jackson and John Wall, have to show up. To me, I think that's what is gonna keep the Clippers from winning, because they have all the pieces. And I was worried about the center position. Zubac was the center, and you guys said Moses Brown. I haven't seen Moses Brown done anything good enough, but we'll see. So if John Wall is the guy that BJ said he is, there's no excuses.
Bubba, let me hear from you.
I kind of agree with what Bruce said. Health and the point guard and the center position. But right now, at first, I would have said Paul George to a certain extent because we know how Paul George's mentality is. But he proved to me in the 2021 playoffs that without Kawhi, he can, be there for his team and help them go deep into the playoffs. But without Kawhi, we can't really get to the finals. So right now, they have everything. They have the bench players. They have the best coach, top 5 coaches, in my opinion. There should be no excuses if everyone is healthy. We saw them suffer one of the huge meltdowns in the bubble, and that was that could have been. We could blame that on Doc. We could blame that on certain players for not showing up. But right now, they have the best coach in Ty Lue who motivates his players and makes the right necessary basketball moves to help teams win. So there should be no excuses right now. And they have the point guards, they have the bench players. Like, they have a solid team. There should be no excuses. If everyone's healthy, I should expect the Clippers to be in the finals this year.
Ooh, what about you, Rick? What you see can keep the Clippers from winning this title, man?
Your boy just said it, man. He just said it. There's no excuses, man. There's no, and you know Bruce gonna be on him. There's no excuses. I mean, look, you had 15 months off. It looks like you've been working on your weaknesses, as we can see. We can physically see. We got John Wall coming over. We see PG been doing his thing. Like you said, he seems hungry. You got a bench. You got a roster. You got a good cup. How they say, what more do you need? Now you just need to, show. You need to show up. So again, however they need to do that, however you need to coach or however you need to play. Like I said, even Bruce alluded to load management. Whatever y'all need to do to just kind of set a structure or a game plan to where you can make it to those playoffs, get through the playoffs, hopefully get to the finals, without any injuries. The main goal of, let's not forget, Kawhi even comes to the Clippers, was to get a chip. So we've been waiting on that chip. So, at this point, man, when you got a team like that, and you got players the players that you got on that front court, and you got the backup support, and you got that amazing coach. Look, man, I'm gonna have to be like Bruce on this one. You got to show me something. You got to show me something. I know you're great, but hey, you got to come with it. So that's what I'm gonna say on that one, man. They got all the pieces to show it.
So Dominique Brown said Joel Embiid are helpful will prevent Clippers from the top. Hey, I saw the Sixers in training. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I saw the Sixers in training camp. They're in training camp in Charleston, South Carolina, right? And there was a clip of Doc Rivers and James Harden talking, and it looks like their communication was solid. They were talking and thinking of ways to actually, make their team better. But all I gotta keep harping on is the Clippers are a deeper team. This is the deepest team in the league. I can pick out certain things that is wrong with every team in the league. The Clippers, and this just ain't because it's there's no weaknesses to this team. Look at the Warriors. They're the only other team I believe also. But if you look at teams like, I don't know, the Sixers, they don't really have outside shooting. You look at the Celtics, their coach, Ime Udoka, he's no longer there no more. The Brooklyn Nets, their defense is not, where it should be for a championship contending team. The Suns, they don't really have camaraderie right now. They're going through a lot of things internally. The Mavericks, they don't have the depth, the offensive scoring power outside Luka. Like, every other team I can pick something out, right? So when Dominique says Joel Embiid or the health, I think he's missing the point that it's not just Embiid. Embiid's great, but what about your rest of your bench? You don't really have much of a bench to compete with this Clipper. This Clipper team is deep 1 through 12. So the only thing that what we've all been saying is, like, there is no excuses. To be honest with you, they should already have a title, and the only thing that stopped them was health. So as long as they're healthy, there's no excuses for them not to win this championship. But this team is ridiculously deep. I don't see no weaknesses on this team at all. So
Doc Rivers is always good for talking. he's like a motivational speaker that if you are like me, people who motivate me is because I have seen them done it. Like Doc Rivers is a good motivational speaker until he loses after 3-1.
Yeah.
Until he meets the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really care what Doc Rivers is saying to James Harden. They are two not closers. So they could be talking. I just changed the channel. I didn't even listen to that what they were saying because I don't see anything. I don't know if it's for the camera or for the microphone. They were doing that scenario or that scene. So I don't know. So that's if Sixers fans are relying on that because they think they're gonna win, they're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't see that, Iris has to step up, right?
No, I agree.
Right, Iris is still in the starting lineup. So if they are relying on Joel Embiid to do everything, they're in trouble.
Yeah. Go ahead, Bubba.
I mean, yeah, I seen some clips from them at training camp, and to me, I feel like their chemistry is going well. James Harden is listening to his coach, doing the necessary things. Not what we saw the last time when he was going back and forth with Sam Cassell. He's actually listening to Doc, and Doc is trying to like get him to not only facilitate but also take some scoring duties as well to kind of ease off the pressure from Joel Embiid in game times. And BJ, you said the Sixers don't have outside shooting, but PJ Tucker is one of the best corner shooters in the league.
Yeah.
He's streaky. Yeah, I hear you. I definitely hear you. He's. Well, I guess I mean he's streaky. They don't really have sharp shooters. They don't have a Luke Kennard. They don't have, I don't know, Marcus Morris. They don't have guys who are just there just to shoot, just to like put and make big shots.
Yeah, I see what you're saying over there. Yeah, I mean when it comes to that, yeah, I mean they have this Turkish player, Ferenc Korkmaz. He was the only good 3-point shooter on the team. They have George Niang, but he's streaky. Have Daniel House, who's streaky too, but in terms of defense, he can bring it for the Sixers. And I feel like the Sixers could be a top 5 in the East if Harden shows up. Embiid, we know what Embiid's going to do, but if Harden shows up, Harden is the X factor for the Sixers right now. He can't always get outplayed by Maxey. If Maxey's our second best player, then we're not doing anything next season.
I'm sorry, but PJ Tucker is done. He's just collecting money for his sneakers. Okay. So
Hey, quick note to self, man. We are now actually. I want to make sure I get this out here. If y'all can see in the super chat, we actually have super chat available now. You know what I'm saying? Super stickers. If you guys would like to get a super sticker, right there. I know some people don't have Cash App. We also have super stickers now available. So if y'all want to make a comment or a chat like on live show, y'all can do so. That's another way to show your love to the podcast. But I want to just continuously put that out there. But back to what we were saying. And I'll put this right here so y'all can see it. I think this is the best Philly team in the last, as far as complete, in the last 3 seasons since 2019. Because they have people that's going to fit around Embiid as far as guys who are tough guys. I think that's what Dominique said a couple weeks ago. They have guys who can fit around Embiid, right? That can actually do the dirty work. Montrezl Harrell, PJ Tucker, Tyrese Maxey's coming into his own. But even with that, their bench is still their bench. Their bench doesn't have much depth. So that's why I think they're going to run into problems with teams like Milwaukee, Boston, Miami. They're going to run into that problem.
But wait, Milwaukee don't have a bench either.
They have some guys off the bench. They got Is Grayson Allen off the bench? I think he's off the bench, right?
Yeah.
Milwaukee has 2 dirty players on the bench.
Yeah, they got some bench. They got some depth on their bench, and they also have a better core than what Philadelphia has.
Yeah.
You got Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday, who fit around Giannis with no problem. Like they just like it's almost like kind of like a little thing with the Warriors, like with Steph Clay and Draymond. Like each of them know their roles, what they're gonna do. So they perfectly have a better core.
Yeah.
I don't think Sixers are better than Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn is better than Sixers. Sorry, Baba.
The Sixers were not in the play last year though.
We'll see. I think Ben Simmons is going to dominate the Sixers every time he plays.
Stop it.
I think, he's going to shut down Maxey. He's going to shut down Maxey.
Will you stop it?
Okay. You think Maxey is going to score on Ben Simmons?
Man, if Trae Young can give Ben Simmons 30, who can't give Ben Simmons 30? Come on, man.
Maxey is Trae Young?
Shout out to
He said, Yo, Bubba, you got some backup, man. You got backup now. He's like, Bruce, you about to fight. You about to fight 2 people at once now.
I'm ready. I know we have the Embiid fan there.
Yeah, he said 57 KP News said the league spook right now. Claw is back. Let's go Clipper Nation. It's our time. Once Kawhi settles into himself, bro, it's gonna be scary. I agree. Appreciate that comment. The sauce I never seen. Welcome to the show, brother. He said Clippers giving a 40 quarter to every team if healthy.
Facts.
Look, man, I said 1 through 12, they have no weaknesses. Even Amir Coffey is their last guy off their rotation, bro. And that dude can play on any team as far as like a 6th, 7th man. Like this team, bro, they got so many things. Like some people might not even get playing time who are actually strong. But Dom, what's good, man?
I just want to. What's going on? Salute everybody.
Salute.
I just want to address the Clippers first. I think the Clippers going to be solid. To me, they almost like a better version of like the Raptors. That's the way I look at them. Like they super wing heavy and guard heavy, but their weakness, is that center position. You relying on Zubac to guard, the Jokic's and the 80s of the world. I don't know. That's a lot to ask for Zubac. You're gonna have to guard those guys by committee and by team. So if anything, that's their weakness there.
Well, I'll say this in response. So I thought their center position was gonna be their Achilles heel, bro. But this guy, Moses Brown, I think he's going to nullify a lot of that. I think from what I'm seeing from him, he's a 7'1" athletic wing who gets rebounds, who gets boards, offensive boards, bangs on the boards. And Zubac, I've seen him go against Jokic where Jokic, he had like, I think 37 on Jokic. There was a particular game earlier last year. So Zubac ain't stopping Jokic. Nobody is, but Jokic ain't no guy who's going to really be stopping Zubac. And then on top of that, I'm looking at their wing depth, like you just said. Guys like Kawhi, Covington, Nicholas Batum, PG, they're going to all get boards. So if I got Kawhi at my 4, I'm good. If I got Kawhi at the 4, yeah, I'm straight because I know he's going to bang. So I'm not really looking at like, Zubac can be by himself. You're going to have like all those wings crashing those boards. So.
Yeah, it's just that when you get to like the later rounds in the playoffs, you don't want to have to double team or over help on nobody. That's the thing. You want to be able to guard everybody, at least single coverage. Like they got a double team. They're going to have to double team Jokic and AD. I mean, I think they can do it, but just because they got a ton of wing depth, but that's if you ask me what their weakness is, that's what I'll say. Because they're pretty, like you said, they're pretty deep at every position. But center, that's Moses Brown. He's not gonna give you a lot on offense. He's a lob threat. like you said, he can grab some rebounds, but for the most part, it's not like you can dump it to him and he can post up or anything like that. So,
What you talking about, Zubac?
no, Moses Brown.
I'm okay. I'm gonna jump in on this one.
Go
So,
ahead.
because I like to get on the side of what Brown is saying here. So, I see what you're saying, but let me ask you this: with the way that the Clippers are set up, with all the pieces that they have, do you not think that a player like Moses Brown would actually be more of an effective piece in that system when it comes to posting up and grabbing rebounds and helping that team out?
No, I do. I think if you can combine Moses Brown and Zubac in one player, then you got your ideal center there. But they're very situational. And don't get me wrong, I got the Clippers going to the finals. I got the Clippers getting out the West, but I just don't think that they're going to beat. I think the center position is going to be what causes them to not win the finals.
Okay. And I can definitely see, like, I see your angle. I think what I'm kind of looking at is, though, when BJ's alluding to, okay, Moses Brown can alleviate a lot of those problems, is that we also got to take in consideration of the other players that are out there with Moses Brown. So it's not like Moses has to be Embiid, where it's like Embiid has to be dominant. It's like Moses just has to come and play. Because I feel like, looking at some videos of Moses Brown and how he plays and how he can run with it, like he says, he's an agile center, and he looks pretty fearless. I don't think he's stronger than the Embiid, not even a joker. Like, I don't think he has like the strength, but he definitely can move around. And so it's one of those situations where you have to move quicker than the giant. You have to move around. Now, when it comes to this body to body, like, he trying to back down an Embiid or somebody like that, no, I don't see that happening. But when it comes to, like you said, situational parts in a game, I think it's going to be very helpful when it comes to the team like a Clippers, when you have so many, options to play from. And the fact that he can move, like, I'm watching how the man plays, like, he can move around and be that big. I'm like, that, to me, if at worst, it's a nuisance. It's like, man, you got a 7'1" dude out here, athletic, moving around like he a guard. It's like, that's going to be problems when you on a team like the Clippers. But at an angle from where you're coming from, far as like him just pure dominating like a Shaq or something like that, I get what you're saying. But I think when you're playing with a team like the Clippers and you got to worry about everybody else that's out there, you're not going to have too much concern on a Moses Brown, which is going to be your downfall. Because the minute you take your eye off of him, now he is getting those easy dunks and that easy shot or that little left and right hand hook he likes to do. And he's very agile. He can spin, he can run, he can take off with the guards. So it's like, yeah, he can't body with nobody like Embiid. He probably don't have the strength. But when it comes to a team situation, he's definitely going to be harassing people.
Yeah, but the only problem is when you put Moses Brown out there versus a guy like Embiid, like when the Clippers are on offense, you allow Embiid to roam like in the paint and like not have to commit to guarding anybody. He saves energy like that, because Embiid is kind of lazy on defense sometimes. He don't really want to be going up against somebody and playing them all at the perimeter. So you're pretty much giving Embiid what he wants. You allow him to sag off and to stay in the paint and and do that type of thing. So that's the only problem with playing a guy like Moses Brown. But I mean, like I said, I think it's enough to get past the West. Because it's not really that many centers. Well, you got Cat. You got a couple centers in the West, so I think it's enough.
Okay.
But I think Dominic angle is Clippers go to the finals and they lose to the Sixers, right?
That's my prediction.
Yep, exactly.
That's my prediction.
I mean, Sixers cannot beat Brooklyn. They could not beat Boston if Udoka was minding his business. They could not beat Boston. Sixers are not even better than Milwaukee.
I think Milwaukee matches up pretty good versus the Sixers. I think Brooklyn, they don't, they got Simmons. So like again, that's somebody else who you can sag.
You're laughing about Simmons? Okay, we'll see.
Yeah. Simmons might be able to play individual one-on-one defense, He's not necessarily the best team defender. He's
not the best team defender.
No, he's the best. I think he's the best one-on-one perimeter defender in the league. He's not a good post defender. If to be a 6'10" guy, he's terrible at shot blocking for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but he's not really a good shot blocker. He I don't know. Like he you can sag off with a guy. Like he don't want to shoot. You can sag off of him. That's the issue with Brooklyn.
I saw a Kyrie Irving shut down James Harden last year. Remember that?
What, in a regular season game?
Yes.
You can't go by one regular season game though.
No, that was the last regular season game.
Yeah, I mean that's the last game that they played, but it's one regular season game. Like the game before that, Embiid destroyed the Nets with KD and Harden on his own. Okay. And told KD bye and told him, bye, go home.
Okay. And then what did KD do to James Harden the last game? Did he say bye-bye too?
Pretty much, but like I said, you can't go by one regular season game. Regular season and playoffs is two different things.
Man, come on.
They're gonna have to try to figure out how they're gonna stop Embiid night in and night out.
How are they gonna stop KD? Tucker?
You're not gonna stop KD. But the thing is, you got guys that can match up with KD. Prevent KD from getting to certain spots. Be physical with KD. You don't really have that versus who you gonna put on Embiid? Claxton?
Barbecue chicken.
Yeah, this is OC Love just put the comment. This is why I think you gotta look at Dom. I think he said, "Homie, you don't think 76 is gonna have more trouble getting there than the Clippers out the West?" And that's kind of what I'm looking. You're looking at the glass half full with the Sixers, and you gotta look at the things that the Sixers gonna have to struggle with teams like Miami, as far as the depth. You're gonna have to look at dealing with a Brooklyn team whose their core is better than the Sixers core. You gotta look at Milwaukee. You gotta look at Boston, what they are able to exploit on the Sixers.
Wait. How is their core better than the Sixers core?
You're talking about the
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn? Because you got Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons.
Who better, Kyrie or Harden?
Kyrie.
Now you're talking about MVP, a guy who won an MVP, one of the greatest scorers of all time.
Recently, Harden since the last year and a half, since the rules have been different, he's not been getting many free throws. He's struggled, and as far as his body, he hasn't taken as good as Kyrie. The problem with him is he just ain't been playing as much. But when he comes, and this is the thing about Kyrie, he's one of those guys who's so gifted, bro. He can take off X amount of games and come back and not miss a beat. Like Kyrie's a better skilled player, better player than Harden. Now we'll see what Harden does this season, but I think he's declined because of the.
Kyrie is more skilled, but Harden is more dominant.
He hasn't been dominant like that the last year and a half, though. That's the problem.
Harden can get you some. Harden can play a point guard role. Harden can get you some rebounds.
James Harden is more dominant at the free throws, dominant at putting his arm under somebody's arm.
Yeah, just overall.
Harden averaged 7 rebounds, right?
Right.
But he's not impactful. He's not impactful. The last year and a half, he hasn't been impactful. Now we'll see. I'll see what he does this year. But as far as the last year and a half, Kyrie's been the more impactful player. And if Harden was better than Kyrie, it wasn't by much.
Okay. Let's say it's a wash then. Okay. Harden got his upsides and he got his downsides. Kyrie has his. Let's say that's a wash. Now we go to Embiid and KD. At this particular time, who's better between them?
It should be Embiid, and I'll give him the inch over that. But there's people who still put KD as a top 3 player. The only reason they don't put him where they put him because of what he did in the playoffs. But before that, KD was better than Embiid. Okay,
so let's say that's a wash then. All right, then now we move on to I don't know if you want to put Tobias or you want to put Maxey, but let's go Maxey and Simmons.
Simmons, all day.
You sure? Maxey was destroying teams in the playoffs.
He's not. Ben Simmons, bro, is a 6'10" point guard who can lock up on both ends of the ball. His court vision, as far as his transition, how he plays, he's an overall better player than Maxey.
But what about in the playoffs when it slows down and it's a half court game?
That's true. You give the ball up to Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant. That's it.
Yeah,
So it's
but that's the
5-4
thing.
at that point, though.
He's still a better player. I mean, Ben Simmons is a better player than Maxey. And
Look
I
at
think Maxey's great, but he's not better than Ben Simmons.
look at the roster of Brooklyn. They have defenders. They have
And they got
people that can
shooting.
score. Come on, man.
And they got
They
better
have-
shooting.
Yeah,
Sixers have the same
Joe
thing.
Harris. Joe Harris.
I actually got the Sixers and the Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think the Sixers have the same thing like the Nets.
Man, Seth Curry just go to Steve Nash office, give all the players of Doc Rivers. It's the same plays since he's been coaching. Since the Magic.
The same
The
Seth
same plays. The
the
same
same-
plays he
And this
does.
is what I'm looking at with Harden. He doesn't show up in the playoffs. Kyrie, he shows up for big moments. He lives for big moments. So
Yeah, but Harden doesn't show up scoring wise, but he's still going to give you those assists. He's still going to be able to set the team up. Harden is a very smart player.
Really?
he doesn't need he needs to score, bro. That's what they brought. They don't need him to be they need him to score with him.
He don't. They got Maxey for that. They got Maxey, and they got. Of course, he needs to score. He needs to be productive on offense, but he don't have to have 30 points.
James Harden
Go ahead, Bruce.
James Harden was giving assists against San Antonio. James Harden was giving assists against Golden State twice.
Assist to who?
To his teammates. That's why they lost. You said he doesn't show up. He doesn't show up in scoring. I said he show up in assists.
He needs to make Embiid's job easier. Harden is the second option. Sometimes could be third scoring option on the team. I think y'all got to go back and watch how Maxey was destroying some of these teams.
Destroying what teams?
The Raptors in Game 2.
I
They
can't
literally,
get Maxey
they literally
to nod
can't
yet.
guard him.
I think
he's
he gotta
quick.
wait. Maxey, he's in his going on his third year, but I don't trust him to be the second best player on my team. I don't trust him to be.
I'm saying the scoring option. He's not the second best player.
Even that, like what he averaged last year, he averaged like what 16 points last year. So you're talking about having to up his scoring average to well over 20 points to match Embiid. Like, I mean, that's a lot you're asking. It's going to take a big jump. Now, Maxey is a hard worker. He could do it, but I just think the Nets have way more. They have outside shooting. They have better defense, and they have youth.
Wait, you think the Nets have better defense?
Better defense?
Yeah, I
Yes.
do.
Yes.
No.
I do.
Yeah.
What's the most
PJ Tucker
important?
is not shutting down. If you saw what he did to KD did to him when he was with the Bucks. He's 2 years older now. He's not. Go ahead.
But that Bucks team didn't they have like one of the best defenses in the league?
They what?
Didn't they have one of the best defenses in the league that year?
Yeah.
And they won a championship.
No, I'm talking about PJ Tucker guarding because they're gonna put PJ on KD.
Yeah, well, you know, PJ Tucker is not going to be able to stop KD. But what about everybody else in the league?
You got Seth Curry, you got Patty Mills, you got Joe Harris. Those are your three shooters.
Yeah, but Seth Curry is the same guy that Ben Simmons recently just threw under the bus in a JJ Redick interview. Said that Kevin Huerter on Atlanta Hawks. He's like, oh, it's not my fault. Kevin Huerter had 20 whatever points in game
27.
But I'm talking about shooting though. I'm talking about shooting. Outside shooting, the Sixers have those three sharp shooters. Who the Sixers have?
Georges Niang. Georges Niang was the best 3-point shooter on the Sixers last year. He was a 40% 3-point shooter.
Oh,
That's
my
bad, bro.
He was dead out.
If that's your best shooter, bro, that dude, I watched a lot of those games. Like he would take shots he shouldn't even be taking, and it put them in bad situations. Georges Niang is not a sharp shooter.
This dude was so bad in Utah, and they kick him out, and then the Sixers recycled him, and now he's
no, he wasn't. He wasn't bad. They just didn't need him. He was a redundant player. They had sharp shooters.
Yeah.
They had other wings like what Joe Ingles and all these other guys. They had guys who did the same thing he did, so they didn't necessarily need him.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you look at, you got the Nets going to the conference finals. So when did the Sixers pass up the Heat?
I never thought the Heat was better than the Sixers. I just thought the Heat was healthier than the Sixers.
They weren't healthy.
If you look at the lineup, like the Sixers are better all around. The Nets, I mean, the Heat have struggled scoring in the playoffs like crazy.
Was James Harden healthy against the Heat?
No, Embiid wasn't healthy.
No, I'm asking you. Was James Harden healthy?
According to James Harden, it still had a lingering hamstring issue, but he was pretty healthy. He didn't perform well. He mentally, because he was forced to be the number one option. He's no longer.
You said he was dominating. You said he was dominating.
In his role, he's not a number one option anymore. That's Embiid. His role
he got shut down. He wasn't even number 2, 3 option like that closeout, and it just to me looked like the Heat's defense suffocated him. I think Victor Oladipo. I think Max Strus. I think dogs on that, and the Heat weren't healthy that series either. They weren't. Right. They were having many injuries throughout that series too. Kyle Lowry's dealing with a hamstring. Tyler Hero was dealing with an injury. And there's people in my opinion that didn't say. I think Jimmy Butler. He wasn't hurt. Actually, he got hurt in the first round against the Hawks, but you didn't really hear nothing about him saying anything else after that. So the Heat weren't either.
And also the Heat, right? The Heat is a team that just they pretty much was in the finals in the bubble. They built up great continuity. So, the Sixers might be more talented, but they have to put it together. They didn't have a full training camp. Harden came in the middle of the season. Gotcha. It was a bunch of things going on. You got an injured play, you got your best players injured. So yeah, you might not be able to beat one of the most one of the best teams in the East that has a lot of continuity.
A lot of G League players.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you just said it. The Heat has G League players. They're not better than the Sixers.
So when is Harris gonna show up? When is Harris gonna show up?
Harris actually did pretty well in the playoffs. And towards the end of the season, he did pretty well. He he understanding his role now. He's not dribbling as much. He's just catching and shooting. He's not thinking about it. He's just putting them up. So Harris is actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, okay.
Man, I just think when it comes to playoffs, I think there's just too many people in the playoffs for the Sixers that are just not tough enough to contend with a Miami team or contain with a Milwaukee team or contain.
But the Milwaukee is not that mentally tough either, and a lot of these teams.
What?
They have like one. They have what? Drew and Giannis.
You've been eating that cheesesteak too much, man.
Who else on that team is that mentally tough that you're afraid of?
Chris Middleton.
Even that guy Bobby Portis is tougher than some of your players.
Portis is tough.
Come on, man.
Chris Middleton's tough.
No, that's why. I'm not saying Milwaukee is a walk in the park. I think if the Sixers was the matchup with the Milwaukee Bucks, it'll probably go 7. I got the Sixers edging them out just because I think that the Sixers' best player is better than the Bucks' best player. That's my opinion. We're gonna see when the season starts. But at the end of the day, you saying like, oh, I don't think the Sixers can contend with this or that. What about these teams? You don't think these teams is?
Yeah.
Bro, you cut out.
Too much.
I'm just saying, like, we can laugh about it, but it's not us that has to guard Embiid. We don't have to guard a 7'2", 300-pound dude that's doing moves that Kobe does. Like, we don't have to do that.
Yeah.
They gotta do that.
Hey, but check it out. You just said Embiid, though, bro. Like, Maxey, yeah, I like Maxey too. But you keep harping on Embiid. Like, we know Embiid is Embiid, but who else? I mean, they got their bench. Who's their bench?
You got D'Anthony Melton, Montrezl Harrell. Our bench can compete with some of the worst teams in the league. Like, if you put some of the worst teams in the league, our bench probably can compete with them.
Montrezl Harrell has not shown.
You mean some of the best team in the league?
No, I'm saying some of the worst teams starting lineups, our bench probably could compete with them. Our bench is not that bad. We kind of fixed a lot of the issues we had. We got Montrezl Harrell. We got D'Anthony Melton. You got Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah.
You know, Shake Milton. You got some pieces off the bench.
Okay.
I seen him on. I saw most of those guys I saw last year. The Sixers again, they're gonna have to show me, and it's gonna depend on their coaching by Doc Rivers in the playoffs yet again, and it's gonna have to depend on James Harden's play.
James Harden was complaining a lot because he was not getting calls because they changed the rules. All the dancing while driving to the cup to get fouls. He was not getting those fouls. Is he gonna complain again this year?
I don't think Miami, bro, is. I think Miami's just too dirty for the Sixers. I think they just do the dirty work too much. PJ Tucker is the only person I think will get dirty. That's the only person I think that will really get dirty.
But BJ, I kind of have a problem with you not having, like, to you, Brooklyn doesn't have to show you anything after their embarrassment they went through.
I didn't say that.
But
I
you
said
kind of
Brooklyn-
giving the Nets an edge over Philly. But Philly made it to the second round at least.
You said what?
You're kind of giving Brooklyn an edge over the Sixers, but the Sixers got to the second round. Brooklyn got eliminated in the first round.
Well, the reason why I give Brooklyn an edge is because I trust their core more than the Sixers core. I trust KD, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons.
Wait, you trust Kyrie?
What? When Kyrie's playing, bro, in the big
When
moments,
he's playing.
bro, he's a clutch player when he plays.
Bro, when he's playing, but now he just told you that basketball is not the most important thing to him in life.
I'm not going by that. I'm going by everybody's. Anything can happen. James Harden can, flame out. I can say the same thing about him. Embiid can get hurt. I'm not going with the glass half empty. I'm saying all these players are playing. If you got the core of KD, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons, I'm trusting that over Embiid, Maxey.
But let me ask you this: you trust Brooklyn mentally? Because that's part of basketball.
So Sixers mentally is better than Brooklyn?
No, I'm saying, do you trust them? He said he don't trust just the Philly, but he trusts Brooklyn.
I trust Kyrie's mental makeup more than anybody on the Sixers. Yes.
It's like they got all.
I don't know. I disagree with that. Brooklyn mental is shaky, man. There's a lot. They need psychiatrists on that team, man. You got KD sensitive, Kyrie. Ooh.
Bro, Kyrie's a dude.
Kyrie is mercurial.
And Ben Simmons.
Sensitive.
No, I can't do that, bro. Kyrie's mental is what it is. He's one of the best clutch players in the league.
No, he's mercurial, man. He's mercurial.
I've seen this dude in the pressurized situations come through. So the only thing that you be questioning with Kyrie was the vaccine last year. But as far as reports are out that he's actually 100% locked in, he's in a contract year. So I don't expect him to, sacrifice his money.
There was pressure last year, the 3-0. Why didn't show up when the Brooklyn Nets were about to be swept?
I was saying a lot of stuff was happening with that Brooklyn team. A lot of stuff. I'm looking at Kyrie's track record. What I've seen from him, his track record, I trust that more than anybody on the Sixers. I trust.
Nobody on the Sixers quit the team and leave and don't say anything?
Huh?
Kyrie does that. Kyrie leaves the team. He said, "Oh, I have stuff to do with family," and then he goes away.
What year? When did he ever do? Let me ask this. Let's put this on perspective. When has Kyrie just left the team other than last year and said, "I'm not playing"?
Not last year. He done that 2 years in a row.
It was 2021.
This was all taken away from the pandemic year. His whole career, when he was with Cleveland, with Boston, he never just got up and just left. So obviously, there was some other extra circumstances going on.
Wait, he did that. He did that in Boston.
He got hurt in Boston, Bubba.
No, when his grandfather passed, he took time off.
He played. I remember that series. When he got beat by Milwaukee, he played.
Nah, Bruce was talking about when he took like 2 weeks off in 2021 when James Harden got there fresh, right?
That was in Brooklyn.
Yeah, in Brooklyn.
Yeah, in Boston, he just got hurt in Boston. He got hurt but now, like KD said, since the pandemic, there's nothing going on pandemic. He's locked in 100%. There's nothing for him to take time off of. I mean,
yeah, he's locked in because he wants that money. That's why
that's the point. That's why I'm saying that we can't be talking about him taking the time off. We just said it. He's locked in because he wants the bread. So I'm expecting Kyrie to be there. Now, as far as Ben Simmons, I think Ben Simmons is going to be big this year. I do. I think he's going to be a big for them.
Yo, but the thing that concerns me about Ben Simmons is, yeah, he's not as a bad player as people making him out to be. I think people are going to be like acting like oh yeah, he's back, but he never was that bad. It's just that in them high pressure moments, that's when he folds. So so he might be back, in the regular season, maybe in round 1. But then what happens when you get to round 2 and stuff like that, and in the playoffs, and he's at home and stuff like that, and the fans is having expectations for him. What happens then?
Give the ball to KD and Kyrie.
Wait, he can't play in Philly in the playoffs.
I want him to play in
I
Philly.
saw. I seen what happened in that season game when, and I know it's just one season. And I know Dominique's gonna go back to what Embiid did, but I looked at that season game, bro. With Harden, he looked locked up, and when Kyrie's locked in, I don't think Harden got nothing for him.
Yo, look, I'll compare it to this. You remember when that bubble year, right? When it was like they was building this whole Clippers Lakers thing up, and it just seemed like the Clippers, like if they wasn't playing the Lakers, it was almost like they wasn't playing up to their standards. That's how it was with that Brooklyn Philly game. It's like Philly wanted that smoke with Ben Simmons. Philly they don't have no issue with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Right.
They wanted to smoke with Ben Simmons, and when Ben Simmons wasn't playing, it was almost like it kind of killed it.
No,
but the Nets was
Harden was not. No, Harden got locked down in that game.
He
but
he was not getting anything. It wasn't because he didn't want. He couldn't do nothing.
No, it's the Nets wanted it more. They wanted that win more. They was more so galvanized by the whole thing, whereas the Sixers was like, all right, we want to smoke with Ben Simmons. That's who that issue was with. He wasn't playing, so it was almost like they wasn't really giving up the full effort.
No, they was. I'm telling you, they was. You don't go have a big game, national televised game like that, and not give up effort, bro.
No, sometimes it happens like that. But you think the Sixers' full effort is losing by like 40 points to the Nets?
Bro, I've seen the Sixers give up 2-0 lead. I've seen the Sixers. They're not mentally tough. And that's my thing. They're not a mentally tough team.
I get that, but that's why they went out and got mentally tough guys. They went out and got a PJ Tucker. Y'all thinking that PJ Tucker is here to play elite defense. No, he's here for toughness like Udonis Haslem. He's there to provide that mental toughness and stability. Like a mantra.
Where was PJ Tucker's toughness against the Celtics?
What?
Where was his toughness against the Celtics?
I mean, I'm not saying that PJ Tucker is some all-star player that's going to bring you over the top. Maybe that's what Miami need. Miami need another scorer. PJ Tucker don't give you that. What PJ Tucker gives you is what the Sixers needed.
Well, I don't think they're better. I mean, we can just hop off the Nets. I don't think they're better than Miami because Miami's more mentally tougher in the playoffs. I think Jimmy Butler's a top 5 player when it comes to the playoffs. I think his game enhances. He's 32.
Jimmy Butler's getting up there age. You asking him?
Hold on. He's in his prime right now.
That dude has a lot of miles, man. He played with
his body though.
How old is James Harden? Hold
on. He played for Tom Thibodeau, and then he played for Pat Riley. Eric Spoelstra in that Miami Heat system. That's two of the most, toughest systems to play in, like most demanding systems. That's a lot of miles on his body, man.
Could you tell was Jimmy Butler top 5 player in the playoffs last year?
He was, but we can make the same argument. We can make the same argument.
Like the glass half empty.
We can make the argument that Al Horford was one of the best power forwards in the playoffs last year. That don't mean that that's what you're going to get from him on the next year, the following year.
Bro, you're looking at the glass half empty. I'm not. There's no decline in Jimmy Butler whatsoever in his game. I could say probably when he's 35, 30. And plus, we're in a day and age right now that the technology is so good that it's not like the 90s and 2000 where you can play longer than what you were playing back then because of the technology and what they do to take care of their bodies. There's no decline in Jimmy Butler at all.
But these players get injured more often though.
But you look at the glass half empty. I'm not. James Harden doesn't have he said James Harden doesn't have any miles. Yeah, Harden has a lot of miles, but the only thing about Harden is he don't take care of his body.
Right, but Harden Harden got highway miles. Butler got city miles.
Okay. So you taking James
I like
Harden?
that. I like that.
I guess you're taking Harden over Butler. I mean, I'll take Jimmy Butler. You can take Harden.
No, I'll take Butler in the playoffs over Harden. But for what the Sixers need, of course, Harden is a better fit. But that doesn't really mean anything. You putting a whole load on James or Jimmy Butler.
You were saying
He literally beat the team. He literally beat the Celtics off of one leg, and he didn't have his Tyler Hero second leader scorer, and he was a shot away from going to the That's
how many times
Kobe type shit.
How many times are you going to ask him to do that before something happens?
They're not going to ask him this year because everybody's going to be healthy. That's why I was telling you this when they played the Sixers. When I saw that, that's all I needed to see.
Kyle Lowry is washed up.
No, he's Kyle Lowry. He's actually gotten back in shape. Like, again, what I saw with that series against the Sixers is all I really need to see. Like, who was better, who was more mentally tougher.
How?
He's a better coach. They have a better coach.
How Embiid didn't play for 2 games. The 2 games he came back, games 3 and 4, the Sixers won just based off the Embiid's impact, him being there alone.
Right.
He wasn't even healthy. Just him being there, they won 2 games.
Yeah, okay. I give you that. Now,
So
what happened the next 2? Let me watch this. What happened the next 2 games when he was there?
It's not enough. Him being there is just not enough. You can get 2 games. You might be able to get 2 games of him being there, but it's not enough to beat a team with that much continuity, a team like Miami Heat. I'm not saying that
you said the Sixers. You said the Sixers were better than the Heat.
The Sixers are better than the Heat. Yes, they are. But I'm talking about when they're both fully healthy. If you go
again, when the Heat were having injuries just like the Sixers, they both had injuries. As a matter of fact, the Heat had more injuries.
But did their the star players, right? The top players, they played for the Miami Heat.
Jimmy Butler was hurt. Kyle Lowry was hurt. Tyler Hill was dealing with.
Jimmy Butler played and he was productive. He was their best player.
Just mentally, the thing about Jimmy Butler is mentally, he's like with that. Do you know with the little knee injury, he had to shoot up his leg like every other game, like when he was playing the Celtics. You know that he was shooting up his leg, right?
No, I'm not questioning Jimmy Butler's mentality or his greatness. I'm saying that with the team he has around him, it's not enough to get him over the 76ers.
But I don't understand your point. They just did it. If you're telling me that PJ Tucker's gonna make that big of a difference to the point where they're gonna be, that's all they needed just to add. Like, bro, I'm not buying it because again, you still got Doc Rivers as your coach. You don't have the outside shooting that Miami has, and you don't.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
You remember when the Heat beat the Bucks? I think they almost swept the Bucks or something. No, they didn't sweep the Bucks. They beat.
It was
the
a
Bucks.
5-game series.
5-game series, right?
Yeah.
But we know that the Bucks had the better player on the team. They just needed to get the team built around that player to be able to beat the Heat, because the Heat had a little bit too much continuity. It's the same thing. Like when the Sixers get more continuity and they get a better team built around Embiid, that's when you're going to see it's a difference. It's a talent gap.
So you think PJ Tucker's that guy?
PJ Tucker, Embiid don't really have no flaws like that. But when his flaws is that he needs players with toughness. So when you give him that pretty much completes what he needs. So yeah, it's the same thing like giving LeBron a closer. You pretty much complete what LeBron needs. You put a complete team around him. So you did the same thing with Embiid.
I can't do that, bro. Jimmy Butler, what he did with that Miami team, giving him the first. I'm not doing that. He won. The bottom line is that one guy's mentally tougher, a better leader than Jimmy Butler. When he won with multiple G League guys, got them as the first seed in the Eastern Conference, took that team to the conference finals when they were just dropping like flies. Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo was dealing he took that team by himself. So the bottom line is that one player is Jimmy Butler's a more better leader than Embiid.
I got you.
That's all I can really say.
So we can't. So the whole thing is subjective, right? Until they play again, we're not going to be able to know for sure. But this is one thing we can agree on. Can we agree that there's a talent gap between the 76ers and the Heat?
Wait, say that again.
Can we agree that there's a talent gap between the 76ers and the Heat?
I mean, that's true.
Yeah, but why isn't the talent? I'm not again the talent. If it's so one-sided, the results were leading with the Heat. We can't just say because Embiid didn't have toughness. All you did was add PJ Tucker to that team, and he doesn't move the needle that much where you was gonna get a different result. He doesn't.
That's not true though. You added Montrezl Harrell, you added DeAnthony Melton, you added guys who are tougher around him.
Daniel House.
You added certain guys like that, and all the teams that the Heat lost to is because of the talent gap.
Still not tougher. Still all that toughness you added. You're still not tougher than Miami. You're still not mentally tougher than Miami. All that depth you added.
But BJ,
that's all still not tougher than Miami.
You trust Miami, a team that made no moves in the offseason? Pretty much.
They just got to the conference. What moves did they have to make? They just got to the.
You don't think they need a big man?
All they had to do was get to the. All they had to do was just get healthy. They don't have to make moves.
You don't think they need a big man at that center spot?
Bro, they won without a big man. They got as far as they did without a big man.
Okay.
They got and they're better coach, man.
Better coach, yeah.
That's not even a question.
The way I look at it is all the teams that the Miami Heat lose to, they lose to them because they're more talented. Like they lost to the Lakers in the finals. They lost to the Bucks. They lost to the Celtics. All teams that are more talented than them. And it's the same thing with the Sixers. It's just the Sixers had to get their continuity and they had to fill out some of their weaknesses. The Sixers are more talented than the Heat. So, yeah, and Jimmy Butler his toughness might be able to overcome versus teams that maybe on the same talent level as him or less talent. He might be able to overcome that, but he's not going to be able to beat the teams that's more talented than him.
Well, you said the Lakers. The Lakers were healthy, and they were missing Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic against the Heat, and they still got 2 games off of the heroics of Jimmy Butler. So they weren't even supposed to be in that position. So the Lakers were fully healthy. The Heat weren't.
Yeah, you could say that, but to me, it just looked like the Lakers figured them out after a couple games, and the Miami Heat didn't have no answers for it.
Well, they didn't have their players, and they still won 2 games. They didn't sweep them. They didn't sweep the team.
Yeah, but the Sixers did the same thing though to the Miami Heat. But you're saying that the Sixers can't beat the Miami Heat?
I'm going based off of the team that the Heat against the Heat team that they have, the coach they have, the better leader they have. Miami was able to do less with more, and they're going to be healthy this year. And they had year after year of constant evidence. They've been 2 conference finals, and then they went to 1 NBA finals. So with the Sixers, they haven't even reached the conference finals. So what am I supposed to do to be that confident in the Philadelphia 76ers?
I mean, you don't have to. You're entitled to not be confident in the 76ers for the reasons that you just named. But I'm like it's obvious that I like the Sixers, so I'm going to be more optimistic. So, but I think that they're going to overcome a lot of that. I think eventually great players overcome that stuff. It might take some time, but eventually most great players will overcome.
Anybody got some other comments?
This, I've been listening the whole time. I think it is subjective. It's a lot of, what ifs, right? So, when it comes to both sides, I see both sides' points. Now, I will say this. I'm more of a BJ mindset. I kind of look at what's been going on lately. So, of course, when you're looking at the Miami Heat, I feel like they got a better GM, a better coach, a better system. I feel like the mental toughness because Mr. Brown, last time we talked about this Embiid situation, you said his weakness was mental. And so then if you're facing a team who is mentally stronger, then your favorite player, his weakness is mental, and you're playing a mentally stronger team, then that usually offsets that issue right there in its tracks. But to back what you're saying a little bit, I feel like if Embiid did play kind of like a Giannis plays, then this would be a different conversation. But until I see, Embiid play like that, like some hard, he going crazy. It's just we literally have to go off of what we see, right? It's like, yeah, the speculations, we can be here all day because like you're making some good points, even when Bubba chimes in, good points. But at the same time, we have to see it. Because I mean, one thing I did like what you say is, okay, he didn't play those 2 games, but when he came back, it was a big difference. That is true, right? I can't deny that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, when is he going to keep that going the whole time? Because as BJ ended it, he goes, okay, we saw the Miami Heat make it to conference finals twice and to the finals once. When has the Sixers done that? Right. And so that's not a shot at Embiid. That's not that. I'm looking at the whole team itself because it's not just Butler by himself. You got Butler in the Heat, in the coach. So we're looking at the organization as a whole. Embiid, again, never talk down on Embiid. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's talented. I think he's skilled. I think, honestly, if he played like a Giannis, where he was like an engine, like a motor, this really would be a different discussion. That it'd be, you really couldn't stop him at that point. You really can't stop him now, and he really stops himself. But at the end of the day, it's like, look, if I got to put my faith in something, I have to look at the past records of something. And so when I'm looking at the 76ers and I'm looking at the Heat, I'm going to edge more towards the Heat just because of what they accomplished. So, yeah, we can attack, they don't really have a center, but even without a center, it seems like they get a little bit further. Of course, that's an amalgamation of the teammates. That's an amalgamation of the coaching. That's an amalgamation of the culture itself, the system, like you said yourself. But at the end of the day, it's like, look, if I'm looking at like a report card or old statements, and I'm like, okay, so this team does this and this team does that. Which one do I have more faith in based off of what they accomplish? It's not crazy to think people are going to pick the Heat, especially when you have BJ chiming in that both teams were hurt as well. So in a sense, you're making it an even playing field now. But I do feel if Embiid had that motor, had that mentality, this could be a different conversation. And we are going into a new season, so he might shock us. He might, but we just have to see.
Yep, that's what I'll leave it there, man. I'll say that, man. If I gotta see Embiid do it, and once he does it, then I'll be like, okay, maybe PJ's the guy to do it for him to put that battery in his back.
I think me and BJ been saying what? I mean, I think we've been rooting for Embiid. Like, yo, he should have been getting MVP the last 2 years. They've been giving it to Joker. So I mean, we definitely don't have nothing against Embiid. We know Embiid's that guy. It's just that when it comes to his oppositions, it seems like the oppositions are always getting past him. And so that's where the faith base comes in. It's like, well, look, we know Embiid that guy, but this team here seems to figure it out.
Yo, somebody brought this point up to me too about Giannis. This is a random point. They say Giannis ain't. They say Giannis. I'm hearing an echo. I hear a little echo, a little feedback. Yo, so yeah, they say Giannis ain't beat no top 5 players in the playoffs.
You say
what?
What?
Think about Giannis didn't beat top 5 players in the playoffs.
They are, they not.
No, Giannis hasn't beaten any top 5 players in the playoffs. What y'all think about that?
Well, let's look at the top 5.
To a certain degree, that's true.
Let's look at the top 5. The top 5 players right now. Are we talking about in our opinion or what they've been saying with the top 5?
Wait, this year or last year when they won the championship?
When they won the championship.
Oh, he did. He beat KD.
Yeah, they beat KD.
All right, you can say that.
He beat KD. Who they play in the first round? They played Miami in the first round, right?
Right.
So they beat Jimmy Butler. They swept Jimmy Butler actually in the Heat. Third round they beat Trae Young. Fourth round they beat Devin Booker, Chris Paul. So, I mean, what are we trying to ask the question? Like, what are we trying to say? What are we trying to say about Giannis?
No, I was just bringing up that point. Like, his resume ain't all of that. Pretty much, like the way how they be trying to make it seem like, oh, he's the best player and it ain't even close. Like Kawhi Leonard has beaten a lot better competition than Giannis. So I don't get how they can say Giannis the best. Like, I can understand you say Giannis is the best player, but when they start saying stuff like, "Oh, and it ain't even close," and he's clearly like, like stuff like that. I don't know. I just think that's I don't know. I think they pushing a narrative at that point.
I think what
But
mesmerizes the league. I'm sorry, Bubba. I think what mesmerizes the league at that point when he won the championship that year is that we all know, whether we like Giannis or not, that without Giannis, there's pretty much no Bucks. And so when you have Giannis out there just taking control like he does, and the way he's like the tenacity he plays with, I think, people do kind of gas it, because I know what angle you're coming from, Brown. Like I see what you're saying, but at the same time, with the type of numbers he was putting up, the way he was playing, the way he galvanizes his team, I think it had people kind of like in a la land, so to speak, because I know how to stay relative and realistic, and realistically, the brother is just he's the engine of that team. If you take him away, Bucks are trash. It's like, what are Bucks without Giannis?
But you can say that for like 5 other teams.
Absolutely. I'm not arguing that specific point. My thing is the fact that because he is the engine of that team and the way he went through the playoffs and won the championship while everybody was getting hurt and going down, and how he stayed strong and kept playing, I think people were kind of feeding off. When you say narrative, I think that's where the narrative came from. So I'm not saying that, he's like the greatest player of all time. I'm not saying that. I'm basically saying that because the way he did it, because sometimes the way you do things can make the stuff look prettier than what it actually is, because let's look at a Floyd Mayweather. To a lot of people, he's the greatest boxer of all time, right? He's 50-0. But if you go talk to a Mike Tyson would be like, look, there's other fighters that had 100 fights and only lost 1 or 2 fights. So how are you the greatest? So it depends on your perspective and how you look at it and what narrative you want to go with. So I think to kind of touch on what you're saying is that I think in that year, it's the way how everybody was getting hurt, how each team just seemed like they couldn't keep it together. That was a real weird year to me. But Giannis just somehow stayed intact and he kept going. And I think that just kind of gave him that galvanizing story, like, yo, this man overcome. And let's not forget, of course, he's one of those players who don't switch teams, right? Like who sticks with the same team. So when you start mixing all this stuff together, it makes it look prettier, like adding details to a picture, right? But at the end of the day, when you do get the championship, it kind of does give you a little bit of bragging right? So it's like, hey, he made it there, he got there, he finished. And so you have to give him that year. Because a lot of people still talk about LeBron's 2020 championship to this day. A lot of people be like, man, I don't count that. Even though you got to count it, a lot of people still don't. But it's the story behind it as well. So it's like, at the end of the day, I see what angle you're coming with, and I get it. I wouldn't necessarily say I agree with it in a sense, but I get how you're coming from it. But I think the reason why it's so gassed up is because when all those players were getting hurt that season, it's like he found a way to hang in there. And then let's not forget, Chris Paul and Booker at the time were like the main talks of the town. They were like the guys to beat, and he came in and beat them. So it's like that when you put this, how you say you put the story together, it just looks nice. It's like a nice movie. So I think it gets so gassed up like that in that season.
To me, I just think they just pushing the narrative because, like Bruce in the chat, he said his resume is better than Embiid. I mean, yeah, you could say that, but at the end of the day, let's throw aside the Embiid versus Giannis thing. Let's look at all the other players in the league. We got would you say Kawhi is still in his prime?
Yeah.
Yeah, he might be in the back end of his prime, but he's still in his prime. His resume not better than Kawhi's. So what makes him the best player by far? Like the way how the media.
I did literally say I'm not saying Giannis is like the greatest player of all time. So I did throw that notation in there. Right. I said, I think it's more of how it looked that season. Like it's this whole story itself. Because if you actually remember everything in that 2021 season, literally, like he's the only guy that stays with his team. He's the main dude that everybody relies on. Everybody across the league know if he doesn't play, the Bucks are trash. So he sticks with the team. And then, like I said, in that same season, the Suns were like cooking. They were literally cooking. So it was like, oh man, I already heard people saying this is Chris Paul's first championship. You know, they already basically giving it to the Suns. So then you beat that narrative. You jump over that and you beat the Suns. It's like when you start adding all these different pieces into one storyline, it's gonna make it look like an epic movie.
Right. No, so if they was to say like, yo, Giannis was the best player in 2020, or I think, or they say, I think right now because Giannis was, because of what we saw in 2020, I give Giannis, the edge or over players right now. I could see that. I don't have no problem with that. But if they saying Giannis is the best player and it's not even close, or he's the consensus best player in the league, like they saying stuff like that, I don't agree with that.
I think again, and like I said, I
like
can't.
You win one championship, and you barely beating any top 5 player. Like Giannis beat Embiid, Butler. Kawhi beat Embiid, Butler, Giannis. Who was it? Steph got injured, but he beat a couple guys on his way to getting that championship.
Right.
Okay.
And that was in 2019. So, I don't get how they can just.
I get the angle you coming from, but let me use this as a reference. Let's look at KD when he was with the Warriors. Okay. To a lot of people to this day, them championships don't mean nothing to them. To this day. Now, me and BJ said it from the very start. Long as you win, I don't care. Long as you go and win, and he did. Long as you go over there and win, it's a championship, because at the end of the day, when he's retired, they're gonna look at the chips. They're gonna look at the stats. Because nobody that watches you play is gonna look at, okay, what did this guy do in these times? Unless they, if they're basketball connoisseurs. But to people who actually lived and watched it, a lot of folks are like, man, that man joined, Steph Curry and Green and them, man, that dude, he actually went to the team that beat him. So regardless of the fact that he's still, a multi-championship holder, to people who actually watched him, it's like a lot of people don't care. So a narrative does play a big role. And I think going back to Giannis, when you look at how he won, he stayed with his team. Everybody and their mother knows that he basically is the team. And then when it came in that period of time, right, just to have context here, in that period in time, the Suns were the team to beat in a sense. Everybody talking about Booker and Paul. And like I said, I heard from people that was next to me all the way to the media, oh, Chris Paul, it looked like this is going to be it. Is he finally going to be the point guard for real? And blah. And so that's another narrative. And then he comes in and beats them. And then he does it doing by incredible numbers, like crazy ass numbers.
So I got a question for you then.
It's like, I'm gonna let you ask me. But what I'm saying is to kind of touch on what the angle you're coming at. I think he literally beats certain narratives to make that championship bigger than what a championship would be. And like I said, using the reference of KD, even though we know KD is great, because of the narrative behind the championships with KD, this is why people still say they don't count those championships, even though they are. I think it's just, like you said, it's narrative based. It can make it bigger, it looks smaller.
So are you sitting here on this panel right now today saying that Giannis's championship run in 2020 was better than Kawhi's championship run in 2019? Or was more impressive?
I honestly think both were just as impressive. Just
Exactly.
Because if we're going narrative based, I think they're equally impressive.
And I think that's what I think why Kawhi, we're just spoken on Giannis and Embiid, but both of those, Giannis and Kawhi, had two impressive. Those are two historic all-time playoff runs, no matter how you slice it. And I think that's why we put Giannis at the time. Right now, he's the best player in the NBA. Now, when Kawhi comes back, I still believe Kawhi is the best player in the league, but until he plays and gets out there and proves it, nobody's going to give him the nod. So I understand that. Embiid, he doesn't have that. That's the thing he's missing. He's missing that historic playoff run where he just at least gets you to the conference finals and does damage. He doesn't have that.
Yeah, he don't have it yet, but I'm just saying, like, I just was a little confused on that notion that Giannis is the best player and it's not even close. I mean, if you think Giannis is the best player in the league, I'm not gonna argue with you, because like you said, the resume, his resume speaks for itself. But all this, is not close. Like almost like Giannis don't have no flaws, or Like they almost give Giannis this LeBron treatment.
Who said that it's not close? Who said that?
No, this is the narrative that the media is pushing. That's their new guy. That's their new LeBron.
Well, me personally, I never said it wasn't close. I mean, Giannis, Steph. I think Giannis is the most dominant. What they probably means the most dominant. But
I don't even think that.
To say, well, it's recency bias, so you got to think about it like what he's accomplished. The last couple of seasons, he has been the best player as far as what he's accomplished. So, I mean, I don't mind people saying it, but when people say it's not close, I mean, I need to know who these people are saying that, because that's an out of direct statement.
Richard Jefferson, all those guys in the media, all those guys on ESPN, everybody. Any ranking you see is Giannis is number one, and we don't even got to argue this.
Brown, I think what it is, man, you got to think a lot of people in the media are older guys too. So they're used to seeing dogs play basketball. You know, the game has changed, things have changed. Basketball is still basketball. But I think when you're used to watching Jordan or Magic Johnson and players of these calibers, when you see players like a Giannis or you see players like a Dirk Nowitzki stay somewhere and literally are the face of the team, and then they just go through all these trials and tribulations and overcome such a dynamic situation, it's almost like a reminiscence of how it used to be. So when you're talking about people in the media, you also got to give context that those people in the media have seen other great players, right, in their time. So I think it gives them almost like this mental orgasm in a sense, like, wow, like this dude hung in there. He really pulled through for his team. It's like it's giving them nostalgia almost, right? That's why I said I see where you're coming from, but I think the reason why Giannis is getting the praise that he's getting is because, look, we can't deny the fact that he's a dog. He doesn't even have perfect games all the time, but he plays his butt off. Like he comes after you. And I think
Russell Westbrook.
Huh?
Like Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, even if you don't like Russell, people still say what in the media? Man, but I like the way he plays. I like the way he comes at the game. Even though he ain't got a championship, you see what I'm saying? Even though he ain't really, but I love the way it's like a nostalgia thing. It's like, man, he just remind me of them guys back in the day. He's a dog. He comes after the game. So when you got people in the media who are still kind of getting high off what used to be, and then they see a remnants of that in today's game, of course they're gonna gas it. They're gonna gas it just a little bit.
Yeah, no, my problem is like Richard Jefferson, Kendrick Perkins. Last year they said Embiid was the best player in the league. You can literally look it up. It's literally on ESPN. Kendrick Perkins said, "What does this game after Embiid beat Giannis? Right before the All-Star break, they said, what does this game mean? They said, oh, this game means Embiid is the best player in the league." They asked Richard Jefferson, do you agree with what Kendrick Perkins said? Yeah, I agree. Then you fast forward a year later, Giannis is the best player, and it's not even close. And Giannis didn't win a championship last year. He got eliminated in the second round, just like Embiid. So how do you flip-flop that much? Like, I don't get that.
But you just mentioned something, Brown. You said Jefferson. So that's his angle, right? But then if you talk to a person like you like, well, nah, just because you won a championship this year doesn't mean that makes you the greatest player of all time. So it's like, it just depends on the person that's giving the take at the time. Doesn't necessarily mean they're right or they're wrong, because again, it's all subjective. But at the end of the day, if Jefferson is saying, you know what, let's say Jefferson has the mindset of, in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. Well, then if Giannis won a championship that year, in his mind, Giannis is the best, if you're going by that definition. But
no,
then
but Giannis, this year. This is last season.
But I'm giving an example here. But then if you're the type of mindset that says, well, look, okay, yeah, he won a championship last year, but what about all these stats? Or what about what they accomplished on these different teams? Then you can bring up LeBron. So it just depends on a person's perspective on a certain player and how they look at the game. And so the way Jefferson sounds to me, he beat the best, therefore he's the best player in the league right now.
But he didn't, though. That's the problem.
I'm telling you, it depends on the person that's giving the take. Yeah. Not at one point did I say you were wrong. I didn't say that. What I'm basically saying is, who's ever saying this about Giannis, you said Jefferson. So if Jefferson has the mindset, okay, whoever wins the championship, they beat so let's say Let's make something up. Let's say Giannis wins the championship this year. Then guess what? He's going to be the best because he beat the Warriors. The Warriors were the best. So whoever beat the Warriors, now they're the best. So if that's his mindset, then that's the narrative he's going to go with.
Well,
yeah, I guess.
We got about to close up there. We got some lasting comments, man. This has been a very passionate debate, man. We got about to end the show, though. Any lasting comments before we go and close it down?
Embiid will never be the best player in the NBA.
Yo, Bruce be coming in with the side punches.
I feel like Embiid should be a more dominant player than Giannis. You know, Embiid takes a lot of jump shots. You know, it's kind of funny that Embiid is a center and he's shooting 49% from the field for his career. You know, and I feel like he has to be very dominant, take it to the cup. Sometimes you need like quick points, and you know, you take a mid-range shots that are, you know, very difficult to the cup. I feel like he has to be more dominant than Giannis for people to, you know, put him above Giannis.
Giannis doesn't whine about not winning MVP. So
I think Kawhi Leonard gonna be back this year. He gonna remind everybody why, you know, he is Kawhi Leonard, and I believe he will get to the finals. Him and the Clippers, but ultimately they're gonna lose to a greater player.
Man, stop dreaming, man. Stop eating that bad cheesesteak. Okay, so.
Oh man. Well,
didn't Kawhi send Embiid home already? So that's gonna be a repeat.
And that's where I'm going at with it. I'm like,
it's all gonna come full circle.
And that team and that Sixer team had more talent than this one. But you know, we'll see how they, you know, put it together this year. We'll see.
Nah, there's no we'll see. It's the Sixers not beating the Clippers. Not even on 2K, 3K, 4K, 5K.
Well, I was trying to be nice, Bruce, but you said it.
Man, you cannot blame Giannis for being better than Embiid, man. You just heard because the analyst doesn't say Embiid is the best player. You just type it on your screen while you're watching Embiid, and then
I don't respect the analysts at all. I think that they should get more guys that played the game. I much rather.
You should Jefferson play the game. Perkins played the game.
Yeah. I mean, Richard Jefferson is cool. I don't agree with a lot of the other guys.
What other guys?
But you said Jefferson was the one that.
I think the beat writers and stuff like that they shouldn't be making rankings and all of that. They shouldn't be.
What about the Sixers beat writers? Do they say Embiid is the best player?
No, they don't. They suck.
Oh, they suck. Okay.
I don't agree. I don't like beat writers. I think beat writers should write about the teams. I think reporters should report news. I think reporters should break down contracts. They should report news, and I think the players should analyze the game.
This is what I think.
You're biased, man.
I think in order for Embiid to get the respect that he deserves, this is what he wants. He just has to show us.
But he do get the respect.
No, I'm talking about far as the beat writers, like the topic we're on right now. Because you said
he get the respect from his peers, but not the beat writers.
Here's my thing. This is what I'm getting at. I was playing on the base team with the Army when I was with the Army. I played on the Army base team, and then I going against the oppositional team. We're in their crowd, right? So they're like, "Yo, number 22 can't shoot, right? He can't shoot." I hit 8 threes. It was quiet. Right. So my point is, in order for people to stop talking, he has to start showing. Giannis has shown. So I'm not saying that Embiid doesn't have it in him or he can't do it. Not at all. I love Embiid. Love it as a big man. Really love the way he plays. But until he starts showing, the beat talkers are still going to be talking. And the way you shut them down is you start showing.
I just don't think they qualify. Like yo, do you watch hockey?
No, I'm not really into hockey. Like I play it. I like playing street hockey.
So if I ask you who's the best player in hockey, what would you do?
I don't really watch hockey, man.
I'm saying, like, how would you figure that out?
How would yeah, you got to start watching the sport.
Yeah, you watch this. You will probably go through that.
So who's the best player in hockey?
No, I'm saying, like, I don't watch hockey. So, like, if I wanted to figure out who the best player in hockey was, I would go to the stat sheets. I would do that type of stuff. That's what the beat writers do. They don't know nothing about basketball. They study the sport. They'll study the sport. They study the stats, and they come up with conclusions just based off of that.
But
they don't necessarily know about the game on that level.
Dominic, ask you real quick.
Guys picking MVP and doing these top 10 rankings. That's why you got Kawhi ranked at number 12.
Bro, real quick. Would you rather have Gilbert Arenas on TV talk sports?
Oh yeah, definitely. Gilbert Arenas, he can break the game down pretty well.
Heck no.
I don't agree with everything he says. I think he's a LeBron James lover, but I'm not going to sit there and act like he can't break the game down.
If somebody is dismissing previous era of basketball, you shouldn't be talking about basketball on TV.
Facts.
So the beat writers do that too.
Who?
All those reporters, you said they dismissed the history of basketball.
Yes.
Yeah, they do that all the time. They vote LeBron James the number 2 over all of these great players, you know, for doing less. He's the only player in the top 4 without 5 rings. Like, you know, they do that all the time.
You want to vote Embiid number 1 for doing less? What has he done?
No, I don't have a problem with voting Embiid not number 1. I just have a problem with I have a problem with putting guys like Luka and Jokic. If you don't put Embiid as number 1, put him as number 2. Maybe put him as number 3 if you want to put KD or you want to put Kawhi at 2 or 3 and have Embiid at 4. But my problem is having Jokic and Luka, guys who don't even play defense.
Who has more talent around him, Luka or Embiid?
I don't know. Luka won 2 playoff games without even playing.
It's Embiid.
Come on, man. Who has more talent around him, Jokic or Embiid?
Embiid.
Come on.
Well, now he does.
Bro, even last year.
I think Jokic had a better complete team. I'll say this. Talent, because, I mean, would I rather have talent or a complete team? That's the question.
That's what I'm trying to explain.
Give me a complete team. Right? So, Jokic had a more complete team. But Embiid, people looked at, he got Tobias Harris, he got this, but those pieces didn't really fit around him as well as Jokic's did. So that's why this year I'll kind of I need to see Embiid do what if Dominic's telling me what's true, that all he needs is some guys around him, that's some dogs. Okay, let's see what he does with those dogs.
Like, who's a better player, Kawhi Leonard in the bubble? Who's a better player, Kawhi that year? Who's a better player, Kawhi Leonard or Jokic?
Jokic.
Kawhi.
What? My fault.
Oh,
but yet Jokic won because his team was more equipped. They was a little bit more complete, more built around Jokic.
No, he has a better coach. They had a better coach than Kawhi because they were the Clippers were running the same play when they went to the 3-1 lead. Okay, they figured them out. The 3-2. Do something else.
Right, you can
make adjustments. Look at the similarities. Who was coaching the Clippers and who's coaching the Sixers now?
Well, regardless of what you say, talent does not always equate the winning playoff games. There's more to it than that. You got coaching. You got coaching. You got team continuity. If the team is built around that player, it's more than just this team is more talented. So that's why I don't respect the media, because they don't break stuff like that down. It's just, Luka got to the Western Conference Finals, so he's better than Embiid. The man don't play a little defense.
But bro,
like really.
Oh my God,
bro, You know that the number one thing that the media looks at is the PER.
Exactly, and that's a stat that guys who never played basketball made up. That's a formula that the guys who never played basketball made up to try to understand basketball.
So what was the excuse of Embiid against Miami? The injuries?
Yeah, he gets the injury pass.
No, it's not necessarily just about Embiid. It's just about how the beat writers approach these rankings and analyzing basketball. Period. They don't think like how.
You just upset because they don't say breaking news. Embiid, number one player in the NBA. That's what you want.
No, it's not just Embiid. It's not just Embiid. I don't like how they vault LeBron up there. I don't like. It's a bunch of things I don't like. I don't like how they don't give. How they putting Kawhi Leonard at 12.
He hasn't played. That's what he's got 12.
Let's look. You mentioned LeBron, but let's compare the two though. When you look at LeBron and Embiid, now of course LeBron's been in longer, but look at the accomplishments. Who would you have more faith in?
I would have. I mean, I don't know. I would have more faith in whoever got the better team built around him.
I'm saying you don't want to say LeBron.
Who I'm saying, because the topic is the beat writers. So if they looking at PR stats, okay. And again, I'm already kind of snubbing LeBron because he's been in longer, but I'm saying looking at a track record with both players, Embiid and LeBron, if you didn't know the players, right, who would you have more faith in?
Embiid this year, Embiid. Last year, Embiid.
I mean,
LeBron doesn't
all time LeBron.
No, it's not about saying who team going to make it farther. I'm talking about who's the better player.
Let's make it fair. Okay, let's say let's say within the last 10 years, how many finals have LeBron seen? How many championships have LeBron won? How many finals or Embiid has won? How many championships have he won? So let's just use the last 10 years, not even the full 20. Who would you have?
But make it a little bit fair. Embiid hasn't played 10 years yet. Embiid hasn't played that little 10 years though.
Okay, so in the last 5 years?
Okay.
Who would you pick?
LeBron James.
I would pick LeBron, but
yeah, no play.
I'm not trying.
What are you saying? What are you saying? Who's greater or who's better?
Because I'm going off of your subject matter, the beat writers, right? So within the last 5 years of both these players, LeBron and Embiid, I already know why you said LeBron, because you're doing what the beat writers do. You're looking at the track record.
No, I mean, if you're asking me who's better this season, no, I'm saying Embiid. If you ask me who's greater over the last 5 years, I'm saying it's LeBron.
Yeah. Y'all, we're going to have to pick this back up next stream, but we're going to have to just pick it up next stream, you know what I'm saying? And
Man, you funny as hell, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pick this up next stream. We already over time, but
sorry, BJ, I had to come in and cook the panel again, man.
We love when you come cooking, man.
What's my record right now?
Oh man, you 0-10.
I'm like Jordan right now.
Hey, all that matters is the playoffs. When the playoffs, the team ain't looking too good. So I don't care about the season. Playoffs, the team ain't looking too good.
Hey, salute Herm.
Salute to this dude always come in at the tail end of the show.
He sure do. I recognize that too. Herm was like, man, that's how I'm making my statement. I'm gonna come in at the end. What's up, y'all?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, no, Herman afraid to come in when I'm in here because Herman don't like Embiid.
Hey, well, look, Herm, stay out the link because we about to end it.
Yeah, for sure. Don't tell him that because he'll click that link and I'll have to respectfully decline. But Dom, Bubba, Bruce, appreciate y'all coming through, man. Look forward to this week. Preseason starts, man. Salute.
All right, Giannis the best player.
You already got off Kawhi.
That was so petty.
All right.
Salute,
man.
Salute, bro. Woo!
Bless you.
All show, man. We're gonna end it here. Lasting thoughts, bro. NBA preseason starts tomorrow.
Hey, man. Hey, man, my last thoughts is that it's just going to be exciting. Of course, I'm excited to see Kawhi, John Wall, the Clippers organization. Mr. Ben, I'm excited to see Embiid, man. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen this year. We got to see what's going on. But based off a track record, I am excited to see, the Heat again. I'm excited to see what Giannis and them boys do. But again, I think as an amalgamation for the league is going to be an exciting year. You know what I mean? The Warriors, they kind of showed us that, hey, you can always come back. So it's going to be fun, man.
Yeah, my guy, like he said, man. Also, like I was pointing out to the phone, I know that some people may be wondering why I was, showing the phone my phone so much. But like I said, super chats are now available. We want to give y'all a special thanks for, all the support y'all giving us. If you guys would like to show your love to the podcast as well, y'all can do a sticker in the super chat. Click right there, and then you can do a super chat or super sticker right there for any type of love y'all choose to do. But yeah, that's right there. If y'all want to continuously support the podcast, we definitely appreciate y'all 100%, man. Love y'all, man. We'll keep bringing this fire content. If you guys like to purchase shirts, we got them in all colors, white, black, and red sweatshirts. You know what I'm saying? $35 a pop. That includes shipping and handling. $30 for the regular shirts, white, black, and red, all the different sizes. Hit us in our Facebook or, through the comment section on here. We can get y'all laced up as well. So until next time, we respectfully say, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull out, peace, out of here like swimwear.